Hello from Southern California. This is the dealershipnews.com podcast where we bring you the new and old school insight into the business of selling cars and service so you have the foresight to grow your dealership and stay ahead of the competition. I'm Kelly Kleinman, and here is our show.
Hello, everybody. Kelly here, dealershipnews.com. Today's quick cast is actually part of our Vendor of the Year series. Sandy Zannino, Sandy Z as I like to call her, of Innovative Auto HR LLC is here with us for the simple reason, hello, that you just nailed down the HR Consultant of the Year for 2019. Congratulations, Sandy Z.
Thank you so much. I am quite honored to be the recipient of this award, and I really appreciate it.
We're just going to call you Z from now on. I just love
That's
Z.
perfectly fine. Many people have. Many people call me Z, and Sandy Z has been my nickname since I was a young kid.
Of course. Now, you're a well-respected, hardworking professional, and it is a credit to the auto industry, and you deserve it. Now, you just mentioned before we went on the air here that you had another award that was bestowed upon you for 2019?
Yeah, 2019, I was the recipient of the Tampa Bay HR Consultant of the Year award, which was pretty awesome as well. Thank you.
Cue up special effects for that one also, Brian, in the studio. What does 2020 have in store for you, and what issue do you think is largest for the dealership body as a whole moving into the new decade, for that matter?
Well, for me, 2020, personally, I'm doing a lot of traveling in the first part of 2020. I'm, going to be out there first. Coming up is an ADA. Then I'll be at Digital Dealer in Orlando. Then I'm going to New York for a conference called the Perfect Dealership Conference, where I'm going to sit on an alternative strategies panel. So a lot of travel coming up, and ready to help dealers protect their profits and find ways to elevate the bottom line. We have to get to the second part of your question. We have such an interesting employment environment, and I think that it's going to continue to be important. Dealers all over are struggling to staff. I hear it all the time. Dealers need technicians as well. And I think that the game is completely changed as far as recruiting, and retaining and attracting these people. Here's the things that I see that we have that are happening. The environment we all know we have historically low unemployment, right? We also have boomers. They're finally retiring. In fact, the estimates are 10,000 boomers a day are reaching retirement age. So whether that many, I know that's a big number. Now they're all not retiring right away at 67 and a half, but many of them are. So that for us, I feel like is leaving not just a body gap, but a skills gap. Yeah. These are our highly skilled managers. There are service directors, right? There are sales managers. So there are parts directors. We don't hear too much about parts. They're quietly doing their job in the back of the house, right? It's the one department that doesn't really have a lot of turnover.
Well, and technicians as well.
And technicians, yes. And so what we have filling those that gap is our millennials and Generation Z. So we've done some research. We know a bit about millennials. The youngest millennials are about 22, 23, really 22. Your 20-year-olds, that's where Gen Z begins. Yeah. Now, these are two completely different generations. Their motivations, I'm doing a lot of research about this right now, and Gen Z's motivations are so different from millennial motivations. Gen Z is really financially motivated, which is right up our alley, right? I mean, like I think they'll be a great fit for the car business.
Us crazy kids.
Yes, us crazy. However, millennials, so it's going to be a balance because Gen Z is a relatively small generation where millennial is a very large cohort. So I think, and this isn't going to change. There's another element that we have here. We have, and to put this in perspective, we have, I'll give you some statistics, but we have a worker shortage in our country. So couple that within 3 years, 75% of the workforce will be millennial and Gen Z. The rest of that is going to be what's left of the boomers and us Generation X people who are out there. So there is right now 0.8 job seeker for every job opening. The Bureau of Labor Statistics just put out their annual report. And to put that into perspective, I don't know if you can remember back in 2007 when the word on the street was, oh, the job is in the job seeker's court, right? And then at that point, in 2007, there was 1.7 job seekers for every job opening. Okay, so right now it's 0.8. And it's been for 22 months that job openings have exceeded the number of job seekers.
Remarkable.
It's a real war for talent.
Yeah.
It is a real war. So that's a very, very long way to get to what I think over the next 10 years, because this isn't going to change. This isn't going to change. We can't grow enough people. Unless, if there is, God forbid, a recession, that's not anything that any of us want. That will bring the numbers, a little bit back, but it's still I think that job openings will continue to exceed job seekers. So what's that mean for dealers? That means the game has changed. There's no more post an ad and hope you get a great candidate. The passive candidate is going to be where it's at, and that means that dealers are going to have to focus efforts into recruiting, actually recruiting, which is a whole art in itself.
And keeping and retention, because if it's that hard and that expensive to find a candidate, you better well have a nice work atmosphere so people want to stay there and grow with the company.
Well, what I call that your employee value proposition. Dealers need to come up with their employee value proposition. We also need, my belief is that we need to turn our considerable and amazing skill at customer experience and turn that toward our internal customers, who are our employees.
Yeah.
We have to do it, because the other thing that I hear from dealers and managers is they have candidates ghosting. They'll set up an interview and nobody shows up. Or even so far as someone actually accepts an offer and they don't show up on their first day, or they're gone within the first 3. There's so many things that I think that dealers can do, small things. Number one, don't make your initial application process difficult. I think that might have been the last blog I sent to you.
Yeah.
I just read an article that 60% of applicants stop the application process because it's too long and, you have to create a user. Who wants to create a username and a password and answer 50 million questions before they even know if they're going to get a response? So make the initial process simple. Make a process. We're a business of processes. Mm-hmm. Create a process. Know what your employee value proposition is. Know what your candidate is going to get, because they're going to want to know. What are they going to get for coming to work for you?
Sure.
Make sure that your managers know it. Do they know your benefits? Do they know about your 401k? Do they know about your health care? Do they know why it's a great place to work? Tell your dealership story. It's like a marketing, what we have today is like a marketing problem in recruiting, and dealers need to turn, our skills to that.
I think on some level, and maybe you could vouch for me on this one, but my kids are 17. You have a daughter who's 17. They're all looking to go to college. Is it worth to go to college for a lot of these kids, or maybe they should turn their focus towards working in the auto industry on some level, becoming technicians, certainly, as a potential way of making a damn good living with really good benefits, while everybody else is paying back their loans? You're probably a good 6 figures, in the plus category, by the time they get out of college.
Well, I tell you what, I
The
think
new trade. I mean, it's like being a plumber. Be a technician. What's
absolutely,
wrong with it?
absolutely. I think that is true, and I think that Gen Z will be much more open to that, and much more. I think they're going to make great salespeople. In fact, I know a Gen Z who started at a dealer that I know. He was going to college. College wasn't for him. He just sold like 15 cars in his second month at this dealership. He's they're really different. So I think they would be very open to that. I know my own daughter, she didn't have plans to go to college. In fact, she broke mommy's heart a little bit when she was very adamant about, I don't want all this debt, she said.
Smart.
Until she found the school for her. She's about get there quick. She wants to know where she's going. This kid's got a plan. I don't know if you can validate that with your Gen Zs. I mean, like my kid, she found a school that she can get a bachelor's degree in 26 months. And that's where she's going. She's going to get a bachelor's degree in music business. And she finished school early. She's graduating this year instead of next year.
Mm-hmm.
But she did all that on herself. So these kids are driven and can, she's about making money. They're entrepreneurial. Wow. They want to take something and watch it grow. So where millennials kind of want to know where you're going to take them.
Yeah.
Gen Z, it seems like they want to know where they can take this project, and they want to see it flower. They want to be a part of too.
Sure.
So I think it's going to be very interesting in the next 10 years. And the thing is, I'm so glad you said 10 years for this, because so often we're so short-sighted, I think. We think about the now. And your question of where are we going in the next 10 years is, I think, really important because, and this is not going to change. Like when I mentioned 2007, 2008 happened. And that was when the Great Recession hit and things turned around and it came back, unemployment went up, and it wasn't so much in the candidate's court anymore in the recruiting game. But I don't see this really changing because this is about demographics. We don't have enough people.
and understanding your culture. If you want to run a successful business, certainly a dealership, understanding the cultural dynamic that's within your area, your PMA, the people you're going to hire is extremely important because there's a different dynamic in their behavior. Yes. They think differently. Each generation tends to think a little bit different. Everybody wants happiness. It's just the way they go about getting it, I think, is and having a work ethic is something that needs to be factored in.
Yeah, and it makes sense to do that. I mean, when you have an engaged workforce, a workforce that isn't just happy coming to work, but is actively working together toward the total success of the organization, right? That's an engaged workforce. That's a workforce that when they not only do they like coming to work, but they're thinking about how they can make it better. So the studies show that when you have good, engagement, high engagement, profits 20% up across 20%. That's what all the research shows. So one mistake I think that we make, we talk about culture. We've been talking about it for a long time. Really, the chatter all over can often be about culture when, because we all know that we've struggled with turnover, right? So when those numbers come out every year, when the NADA puts out their workforce study, we all start la 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 la. Let's get we have to build the beautiful culture, right? Please bring your HR professional into this mix. If that's, because if you're not getting to the root of it, and really, in order to know what your culture is like, I had a professor, I love this guy. You know why I loved him? Because he was like real world. He worked in the world. He was like VP of HR, I think for Allstate. It was an insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave us, not just me, a definition of culture that I've never forgotten. It's so simple. What it's like to work around here. Forgive me, I'm sick.
We'll wrap it up here in a minute.
I'm sorry about that. But
Sandy, vodka straight up.
If it were, it would be in a big old cup like that. But no, it's not vodka. Haven't had one of those in a long time. I guess the thing that I want to impress on anybody that's listening and watching is that in order to know what it's like to work around in your place, you need to ask your employees. So there's a trend of employee engagement surveys that are going around. Find a good provider. I have a friend, Stephanie Licata, with the Dave Canton Group. She's awesome. She does those. She's an organizational development expert, and it is. And there's another friend that I have, Fleming Ford, in Tampa, right here in Tampa. And these things are really important because you can't fix what isn't diagnosed yet, right? So, and sometimes it really doesn't take a lot. And there's a secret sauce that I have discovered with HR. And it's important. I think that it's important for any HR professional working in a dealership because we are a business of customer service. So,
are you gonna disclose the secret sauce right now?
I was going to, yeah. But you want me to hang on to it?
I'm thinking we're gonna hang on to that.
Okay.